lesson. You've done well to stay up as well as you have. I hate that I had to finish the year this year, but this way, but it is what it is. So, in the words of other people, deal with it. That's what we had to do. So, you got to go on. And if I can just give you one of our life lessons that I always try to do in algebra, sometimes things do not go the way you want it to. You don't get mad. You don't throw up your hands and quit. You find a way to get through it, and you just get through it. That's what we've done this year. I appreciate you doing that. I know these videos aren't exciting. I've tried to put a little bit in there, but it is, and we just have to get through it. There's one more lesson that I wanted you to have, and then tomorrow's a quiz, and you're done. But the last lesson I want you to see is on page 321. Page 321, which is solving using the quadratic formula. Now, the basic quadratic formula is on the board behind me. All right, it is x something. Remember these letters. A represents whatever number it is. B, whatever number. C, whatever number. But it's x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, we have looked at all kinds of ways to solve quadratic equations. A quadratic equation simply means it has a square. And then that form, right? But we've looked at all these different ways in which to solve these quadratics. And there's one more method, and it's using what's called the quadratic formula. Now, what is the quadratic formula? If you look down there on page 321, it says completing the square will work for every quadratic equation, and every quadratic equation can be expressed in the standard form of a, whatever number, x squared plus whatever number, x plus whatever number equals 0. By completing the square of the standard form itself, a formula for solving a quadratic expression can be found. In other words, you can take this formula and use it to solve any equation. Because sometimes they can get even more difficult than what we just did. So this is the following formula. This is what's known as the quadratic formula. All right, so in order now to get this into the quadratic formula, all right, I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So what we have to do again is we have to first of all get it into our first form by moving the constant over here. So I have ax squared plus bx minus c equals a negative c, because I subtracted the c. Then, if you remember, I have to have the x squared by itself. So I'm going to have to divide everything by this a. Remember, like if it was 2x squared, divide everything by 2? So I'm going to divide everything by a. Alright? Divide that by a, that by a. Which leaves me now with x squared plus b over a x equals a negative c over a. Now I got to complete the square. To complete the square, remember, I have to multiply that times a half. So 1/2 times b over a is b over 2a. Then I would square that by multiplying it by itself, which gives me plus b squared over 4a squared. But whatever I did here, I got to do over here. B squared 4a squared minus c over a. Then I find this perfect square root. The perfect square root. Now, you don't have to do this every time. I'm just showing you how we get the quadratic formula. All right, so this is equal to x plus, I know it's b over 2a, b over 2a squared equals, so when I break this down, it has x plus b over 2a squared. I know it, that's factored down to perfect square. Over here now I had b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. So I have to work that out by, look what we did over here, all right? We have b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. If you remember, we have to get common denominators, which has to be 4a squared. 4a squared goes into 4a squared once. 1 times b squared is b squared. A goes into 4a squared 4a. 4a times c is 4ac. So it gives me 4a squared, b squared minus 4ac. So I have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. You don't have to do this ever. I'm just showing you how we get the quadratic formula. Now I find the square root of this. This is the square root of this. Which leaves me with, I'm going to write it over here now. So we need to find the square root of x plus b over 2a squared equals the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4ac. We know the square root of that is itself, right? So x plus b over 2a equals, now I'm going to do the square root of b squared minus 4ac over the square root of 4a squared. What is the square root of, you can't have a square root of a denominator, but this one works out. The square root of 4a squared is, square root of 4 is 2, square root of a squared is a, over the positive negative b squared minus 4ac. All right? Then I'm going to subtract this. So now I have x equals a negative b over 2a, really the whole thing's 2a, negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. All right? Now we've gotten down to a point to where we have what is called the quadratic formula. I did all of that work, and it was a lot, to tell you how I got this. All right? This is known as the quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b, positive negative, square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's the quadratic formula. Now, if we were still in school, I would tell you to memorize the quadratic formula. Everything I've done on this little short video so far has been just to show you how we get the quadratic formula. But again, the quadratic formula is x equals negative b, positive negative, square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That is the quadratic formula. Why is that important? Because once you know that, you can solve any equation you want to in a lot easier way. Now, it took us a while to get there, but now you can solve any one you want to. Remember, when you have a formula or an equation, all right, such as 2x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0, all right? That is A, that is B, and that is C, the numbers. If you'll go back now and plug the numbers in, A, B, and C, you can solve any equation. Quadratic formula. They give you a couple examples, like, look at this one, just look up here. 7x squared plus 3x minus 2. 7x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. Now, if I were to tell you what is A, A is equal to what in this formula? Well, A is always this one, so 7. B is equal to 3. C is equal to a negative 2. Then you just go up here and plug in those numbers where A, B, and C is, and you can solve it. Right? For instance, let's do one. All right? Go over to page number 324, and we're just going to do a couple of these. All right? Page 324. It says there in numbers 1 through 12, write the equation in standard form and identify the values of A, B, and C in each equation. So in numbers 1 through 12, all they want you to do is write it in the correct form and then recognize what A, B, you have to solve anything. Right? So the first one says x squared minus 2x minus 7. X squared minus 2x minus 7 equals 0. First thing I want you to do is get it in the right form. Well, It is in the right form. The right form is some number x squared plus some number x plus some number equals 0. Well, this one's good. Then here's what they want for an answer. They want it in the right form, which this one already is. And then they want to know what A equals, what B equals, and what C equals. Well, A in this one is this number. What number is that? 1. B is this number. What is that? -2. C is this number, which is -7. So 1, -2, and -7 are the three answers they're looking for. Jump down there to number 12. All right, number 12. Now, we're not solving anything yet, but number 12 says -5x equals 22 minus 3x squared. Now, I need to get it in standard form. So I need the x squared over here, so I'm going to add 3x squared. And I add, so I have a positive 3x squared minus 5x equals 22. I need that over here by subtracting 22. So 3x squared minus 5x minus 22 equals 0. Now what is A? A is 3. B is -5. C is -22. So there's what the form I'm looking for. And then A, B, C. A is 3. B is -5. C is -22. 22. All right, so 1 through 12 you can handle. Let's jump down there to the next ones. Numbers 13 through 32. They want us to solve them. All right? So the way to do it is we have to get it in this form, recognize what A, B, and C are, use A, B, and C, and put it in this formula. Wow. Here we go. All right? Number 13 says x squared minus 3x minus 28. So x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. All right? Is it in the correct form? Yes. So we have that. Now let's see what each of these are. A in this one is equal to what? 1. B is equal to a -3. C is equal to a -28. All right? Now we have to solve it. We use what we know to be true and plug in the numbers. So let's go back up here and write our formula. X equals, now you're going to have to do it twice. You're going to have to do it twice because you're going to have to use the positive and work it out, then use the negative. So, we have x equals a negative whatever b is. What is b? B is -3. So a -3, we're going to do the positive, plus the square root of b squared, -3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -28, over 2 times a, which is 1. Now, did you watch? You may need to rewind that, but all I did was I took what a, b, and c equal and plugged them in where b, a, b, and c were, keeping my negatives in mind. Now let's work this out. X equals, what's a negative? -3. Changes the sign, so I have 3 plus the square root of, what's -3 times -3? Anyone? 9. All right, -3 times -3 is 9. 9. Now, -4 times 1 is -4. -4 times a -28. I know negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 28, 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 2 is 8, so 112. Over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay? Then, what is 9 plus 112? So I have x equals 3 plus the square root of 9 plus 112 is 121 over 2. The square root of 121 is 11. So 3 plus 11 over 2. 3 plus 11 is 14 over 2. And 7. So one of my answers is 7. Then I have to go back and do the same thing, but instead of the positive, now I'm going to do the negative. So I'm going to rewrite this starting, we can erase that, I guess. All right, and so now I'm going to rewrite it, I guess, starting from here. All right, and we erase everything we've done. if I were and you were in this classroom, the big room, we'd use both boards for this one question, right? But now I'm going to do the negative. So I have x equals a negative, what is b? Negative 3 minus the square root of b squared, so negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times c, which is negative 28, over 2 times a, which is 1. X equals negative 3, because a negative changes that. I'm sorry, it should be negative 3. So that would be positive 3, all right? Minus the square root of, all right, negative 3 squared is 9, minus, and we knew negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times, I erased it. Negative 4 times negative 28 was 32, 112. So minus a positive, plus 112 over 2. X equals 3 minus the square root of 121 over 2. X equals 3 minus square root of 121 is 11 over 2. X equals 3 minus 11 is negative 8 over 2. So x equals negative 4. So my two answers are 7 and negative 4. You just go back by plugging in the numbers where they go. You might end up with a fraction, all right, and that's fine too. You might end up with something that don't quite work out. That's fine too. Let's do we'll just do 15, all right? One more. 15. Then I'm going to make you do all of them. Just kidding. That's my quadratic formula right there. All right, I said 15. Let's do 15. I have x squared plus 5x plus 3. X squared plus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Now, it's already in the right form, so I need to find out what a equals. What does a equal? 1. What's b equal? 5. What's c equal? 3. Now I'm going to write using my quadratic. X equals negative, whatever b is, which is 5, positive negative, the square root of b, which is 5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 3, over 2 times a, which is 1. X equals negative 5, and let's do the positive route first. 5 times 5 is 25, and then negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, over 2 times 1 is 2. Which leaves me with x equals negative 5 plus the square root, 25 minus 12 is 13 over 2. There is no further answer for that we can go. So there's that one. Now to show you what the answer, I'm going to go ahead and write that. So x equals negative 5 plus square root of 13 over 2. Let's go back and do the negative square root. So we're just going right to here, but this time we're going to do the negative. All right? So now I have x equals a negative 5 minus, all right, the square root of 25 minus 12 is 13 over 2, and you're done again. But the only difference is it's negative 5 plus square root of 13, negative square root of 13. Which you could just write it like this, and that's fine too. Basically, if it don't come out in pure numbers, you're going to have just that. So, all right, so that's the quadratic formula. You want to get it into its form, and then you want to find out what a, b, and c equal, and then you use this formula and plug it in. Most of my students in the past freak out when they see this lesson. And then 2 days later, they all say the same thing. Why didn't we start with this? This is so much easier. So just learn to find what A, B, and C are, plug it in to this formula, and it will work out, and you get the answer. So, all right, so what I want you to do is I want you to do numbers 1 through 12 on page 324. That's just finding A, B, and C. Make sure you first write it in the right form, then find A, B, C. Then on numbers, the rest of them, 13 to 32, I just want you to do numbers 13 through, let's do 13 to 25. All right? 13 to 25 using the quadratic formula. Find out what A, B, and C equal, and then use this formula and find your answers. Every one of them you should have 2 answers. Sometimes they'll end up just like this, where it's just plus negative. Sometimes it's 2 separate numbers. But basically, if it's a fraction or a whole number, you're going to have 2 answers. If you still have square roots involved, you're probably just going to end up with that right there. Plus, minus, whatever the square root is. All right. It's been a thrill. There's a quiz being sent home. I guess I should review with that. Review that real quick. On your quiz, you can use your book on this quiz. It's over 9.4 to 9.6. And you're going to have to complete the square. Then you're going to factor each completed square, and then you're going to have to use the quadratic formula and solve. So, all right, then you're done with algebra. Well done. I know there's more in this book, but the next lesson's on statistics and using a graph. Then they just add some more work on probability. And but you did the main gist of it. So, all right, it's kind of like all the other previous math books. The last section's just to throw it in there, just to get you ready for the next few years, to start your mind thinking, introduce some concepts. We'll do that when we do it. So, have a great summer.